A friend of mine dropped this round the other day, and as you can see, it's really sunken in the middle here. You can tell with the way this has been worn at the back. Is a well-loved chair. The seat is a drop-in seat, so there's a few things you need to take into consideration when doing that, which I will point out to you shortly. So let's get on with it. The first thing I'm going to do is unscrew the base. There's 4 screws holding it in, 2 at the front and 2 at the back. I'll put these in a little bag so I don't lose them. And with a bit of luck, the chair seat should push out. There we go. As with any upholstery project, I'm going to take the bottom off. I won't be keeping the bottom cloth. I'm curious as to how this is put together because it's quite an old one. I believe she said it was one of the first pieces of furniture she ever purchased. So it's got sentimental value. This has absolutely seen better days. I've actually never seen a seat base like this. I'll continue on around. The nice thing about doing old chairs is you find out interesting facts about them. The chair itself was made by the Hitchcock company, which is still in business now. I'll take these off. Now, I had a comment left on one of my videos not so long ago about the webbing used on furniture here in the US. And the comment was the webbing with a black stripe goes on the seats and the webbing with the red stripe goes on the back. I will slowly work through my videos that I've put webbing on, and I will make sure that that is noted in the section that I write in. I'm going to staple this in. I have 1/4" staples because they will poke through otherwise. I'm going to put this across here. That has not come through to the other side. This is just under 1/2 inch, so I do worry. I'm going to have to clamp this onto here. Sometimes you have to think outside the box. I have it in here. Push that through. I've got to position it so it doesn't break the seat and twist it. So I've got more of this supported on here. I'm going to pull that down. I can hear it, and I'm going to staple this into position. I'm not going to fold over and do the top part yet. I'm going to put the next piece along here and then the same here. I'm going to go centre and then either side to make sure it's nicely held into place. I'm going to put some fabric over the top like this. I'm going to pull it as tight as I can to the other side. The reason is I don't want the foam being cut by the webbing and make your way around the whole chair seat. Roughly cut round like this, and then once you've done that, just fold it over in from the side and secure. I purchased 1.5 inch firm foam, and I'm going to draw around like that. I got the firm foam because it's such a shallow seat and it has to fit in to the frame. I'll just carry on round. I know it's not very obvious to you where the line has been drawn, but I can see it. I am going to just cut on the outside of that line all the way around, keeping the scissors as perpendicular as I can. I don't want to roll them as I cut. If there's any discrepancy, it will be hidden by the dacron that goes over the top. So I'm going to continue going all the way around. On the foam, I didn't bother cutting the corners out because they're going to squish in and give a little bit more resistance to those backs, which means they won't collapse. The widest point here is 14, so that's 7, like that. The widest point here is 17.5, so that's 8 3/4. Now I obviously can't put it on the wood. I can see my mark on here, which I'll line up there, and that will give me my line here and there. Then I'm going to mark it up to the longest point here, which is 16, so half of 16 makes it 8. If I do it this side, 8 there, I've got my marks in place. I'm not going to worry too much about it. It's just to square the fabric. I've got my cut piece of fabric. I'm going to put my mark in halfway along here, and because it's even, I'm going to do it this side as well, like that. Comes out a little bit that way, but I overcut it. So that side, as long as I make sure that that ends there and that are even. It's even across. I have here my foam Dacron. I'm putting an interlining down because this is cotton, it's a batik, and when I tried putting it on a short while ago, it was just creasing up so much. So with the interlining underneath, or the bump, it should help it go in nice and smoothly. Flip that over and work out where all my positions are, at least the top and bottom, as I pull it in, because that's really where I'm more worried about it. And I don't think I need those as halfway marks because there seems to be plenty of fabric. So I'll just move that down a little bit and get it into line. Pull up the Dacron like that. Give a preliminary trim to get a little bit of the shaping in. It is an oversized piece, and I'm just bringing it up to the base here. It will pull in more, and I probably will have to cut it back a little bit more. At least this way I get some idea of where it is that I'm going. And the same along the back here. I'm going to pull this up. It's pulling the Dacron and that fabric underneath into place, and I'll staple it. That's the center. I'll flip it around. Now I've already tried getting this in once. It was a bit of a disaster, which is why I ended up putting the interlining in. I'm going to pull this down, all of it over and into place. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it out to the sides like that, and I will secure this side, pulling everything over and into place, and the same on this side, pulling everything over and into place. That's what it looks like at the moment. I'm going to work the back in first so it's nice and even. I'm going to pop it up here and just bring my hand over the top and down so it's nice and even. Line everything up so that it's all pulled round correctly and to the right level, and then secure it. This was all pulled round and had lots of tiny pleats across the base here, which I don't think I can easily replicate, but I'll have a go. So the top 2 layers, I'm just going to pull in slightly along here and pleat in as I go around, and hopefully it will pull it round as it was originally. If not, I'm going to have to be a little bit creative. What was happening earlier was this was pleating all the way up, and I'm going to have to try to avoid that. So let's pull that in here because I don't want that showing on the top of the chair. Even here it's got to be altered, but that's fine. But I'll work either side at the top first, just a little bit. Cut some of this other fabric off because I don't need all of that there. This straighter edge wants to go in here, so I'm going to pull that in, pull that out. Here, the foam underneath, I'm just going to literally push back and then pull that into here like that, so it's nice and firm. So I'm going to have to work that out and then work those corners. Put the corner in first and then play with this until this goes in nice and smoothly. I'm going to spend probably an hour and a half putting this in. You're going to get jobs that just, whatever you do, don't want to go in. I think I'm going to end up with a pleat there. So I can't have a pleat this side and none on that side, which means I'm going to have to play with this fabric until it goes in, either with 2 small pleats or no pleat at all. I might have to try that on the chair and see what it looks like. It ridges out and I can't have that. I'm going to spend quite a while pulling this and pushing it until it goes into place, and then I'm going to have to even up all the way along here. What I ended up doing on the other corner was I pushed that piece of fabric in like that, pulled the Dacron on, up, and trimmed it right back like that. Pulled that over and then that up. I probably need to adjust this. I'll put it in for now. There's a little bit of wrinkling here which will be hidden by the leg, and there's a little pleat there and one right on the corner. If I can get this one to look identical, then I'll be pleased. I also popped in this area here so that I could actually start bringing this in. I didn't want it being pulled this way. I want it to be pulled that way. I'm going to have to just work this around until I've got it exactly where I want it. I do need to put little pleats in, which I will work out as I get there. I just need to make sure this is as smooth as I can. About 1/2 inch of this will dip down into the frame, so I have to be careful not to have any of these pleats above that mark. They all have to be really low. I will continue playing with this. The original fabric that came off was a velvet, and I think that makes a difference. The gentleman who taught me how to do upholstery said it doesn't matter what the customer brings you, make sure it works. So I'm making sure it works. Now it has taken me 2 times to get this area in. I went this way and then I came from here and pulled it in. One thing you have to remember with these kind of seats is you only ever view it from the top. I think most of this is going to be hidden by the frame, and it is a little bit wrinkled, but I'm sure it was wrinkled on the original cover, I just didn't notice. So I am going to start working this area in, and when I've done that, I am going to put it in and find out what it is I need to do here. This corner went in fine, this corner looks like this, and I'm not happy. It all takes time and patience, that's all. Time and patience. I'm looking at the top here. I need, I think, to put a little bit more packing on that side to make it more even. I need to pack out on either side just a little bit so it's more squared off. I'm glad I didn't take the foam out, because at least there I can work with it. I've just got to alter it. Thank you for joining me on this project. I think it came out okay. If I was to do it again with this kind of fabric, I would actually put 2 layers of the interlining down, or the bump that you use in quilting. It would have given a little bit more body to the fabric, but I think all in all the way that I did it was fine. I just released the fabric on this side and re-put it in, which seems to have filled this out. The back went in quite nicely on one side, and on the other side I put it in 4 times before I was happy with it. Remember, if you are right-handed or you're left-handed, you might find that you put one side in easier than you do the other side. Just be aware of that and be prepared to move them around 2 or 3 times before you're happy. I actually put the screws back in so this is nicely held into place. I think she's going to be pleased with it. I think it looks really pretty, it looks fresh. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe. Hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be perfect. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.